What is up, everybody? Jeff here, and today we're going to be talking about how to improve your photography, and hopefully these tips will be different in a way than most YouTube videos. So let's get into it. Okay, so today's 5 tips come under the umbrella of one thing, which is what are you trying to say? Now, I know that this is not something that frequently happens with every photo that you take, and this is something that I want you to put into practice and push yourself a little bit to try to say something. Even if you're forcing it, that's totally cool. Now, I'll get into the details in a second, but really I wanted you to look at photography as in a way kind of more of an expression than it is making cool images. That's my favorite approach. That's how I approach most of my images. I'm usually saying something in some sort visually. I think it's a much more fulfilling practice than trying to make cool things. It's fine for a lot of people to just make good looking stuff. That's totally cool. I have nothing against it. I admire and I'm inspired by that. But if you're hearing what I'm trying to say is, it's more exciting to dig a level deeper, and that's what I really want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is color. Now, if you know me at all, you know I'm pretty obsessed with color because it has so much you can play with. And what I want you to do is think about the color of what you're trying to say first. So for instance, if you are feeling really gloomy, you may want to think about how saturated these colors are. And let's say it was a portrait, or even if it was just an item, whatever it is, you may want to think about how much saturation is in these photos and how much color is in these photos. You may not want this bright yellow background or this thing in the back that's really white, or if it was the sky really bright that turns out to be like a bright blue or white. That may not be the feeling that you want to convey. So personally, I really like dark stuff, almost black. I personally have a thing against really black for my own stuff. So I always watch out for something that could be drop in black and edit too much. So I try to find this balance of really warm tones and then cool shadows. So that's the first one. Think about the color. Try to approach it as in the emotion that you want to convey, whether it's saturation or actual hue. This is going to get you really, it steps up my game. I'm still practicing this. I can ramble on over and over about this, and I will probably again because it's so massive. Okay, so the next thing is angles. And again, I don't want you to just look at it as like, oh, this is a cool angle. There's leading lines or symmetry, asymmetrical, blah, blah. Not yet. That's cool. We're gonna get into that in a second, but I want you to think about that angle of how it feels in the photo. Think about it as the angles have a weight to it. So if the horizon were high, you might feel that photo just feels a little bit denser. Then if the horizon was a little bit lower, it might feel a little bit lighter. Again, what are you trying to say? What are you thinking about? What is that overall weight of the emotion that you're trying to convey? Show them exactly what you want. And the third thing is filling the frame. And this one, think about it as you're showing them where to look and what to look at. And if you cut off exactly what you don't want and put everything in the frame exactly how you want it, with nothing more and nothing less, it's kind of like a magic trick. Like you've redirected their eye the way you want to get them to pay attention to what you're looking at, to say, this is the story. So that's a huge one. That is a whole subject in itself, but really just try to focus on that. So the fourth one is really cool, and I've been playing with this one a lot, but lately I've been pushing it to a really weird extreme. So where somebody is and where the negative space is can really change how it feels in the photo. So a good example of negative space that's pushed to really make a very unsettling feeling is in that show Mr. Robot, and the cinematographer is really doing really cool stuff, and they're pushing it around in really unnatural ways. And I've been trying that, and I've been practicing with that, and I think it's a phenomenal practice to really push that negative space. There's a lot of typical ways that you can do that with a literal negative space of nothing, like with a blank wall and somebody's over here. That's cool too. Try all of these things. But it goes back to a little bit more of where's the tension in this? Like, is it very open? Are they over here and there's tons of space in front of them? Or are they over here and there's all the space in back of them? It's really unsettling. Leading room and leading lines, that's a huge thing. Lastly, think about your crop before you're shooting. If you're going to shoot this and you know it's going to be like a 1-to-1 crop, you may want to redesign the shot. What works really well in widescreen, for instance, or portrait may not work for 1-to-1, and vice versa. So when you're thinking about it, so if you're shooting, say, a person, maybe they're perfect right in the middle, but maybe I could push them like totally in half and like, say, cut off half of their face, and that could be a really cool photo because you're thinking about the crop already, and that gives you these new ideas and helps you kind of refine. Again, right back to that beginning statement, the umbrella is what are you saying? And try to move beyond just making a cool, pretty image. I feel like in today's world of likes and shit like that, like, that's not fulfilling anymore. It's harmful to your well-being, and I think to your creativity, where you really want to push yourself and be fulfilled by your own work, and trying these things and refining a story that you're telling is just going to take your photography so much higher and just growing fast and faster. Everybody that you know, at least in your own mind, because yours means something to you. And a lot of people don't do that. They just make pretty things. And that's cool, again, but I personally think that this is just one of my favorite methods to grow. And then when you are going for a beautiful image, you kind of have this like second nature to be able to pop off something. Things just make a little bit more sense, and you'll end up with a photo that's different from the same person shooting on that same day. It's great practices. I hope this helps you guys out. If you liked it, subscribe, all this business. Let me know if you want to hear more videos like this, and until next time, peace.